When I first wore the Nike Phantom 6 Elite AG, it immediately felt like the shoes fit perfectly to the shape of my foot. This time, the Phantom 6 Elite features a new upper material called tuned grip knit, which is soft and thin. Compared to the previous Phantom GX, the texture has been changed to a lined pattern and is slightly more pronounced on the upper. When touched, the grip still felt sticky and slightly stronger than the GX2. Additionally, a thin coating is applied around the edges of the upper. This seems to be a design element, but it could also help reduce wear on the upper over time. The Phantom 6 Elite is built on a newly designed last that Nike has introduced for the first time in 10 years. Upon wearing, it felt more similar to the previous Phantom GX than the Mercurial or Tiempo silos. The toe box had moderate room, and while the forefoot wasn't particularly wide, there was no discomfort or tightness. Overall, it offered a snug, tailored fit. Compared to the previous Phantom GX, the change in last didn't feel drastic. However, it felt slightly more form-fitting, possibly due to a 1mm increase in toe box height and a 3mm shorter toe length. These are subtle refinements rather than major changes. The midfoot is constructed with a one-piece elastic knit tongue. It wasn't too loose or too tight, wrapping the foot with just the right amount of tension. To expand the strike zone, an asymmetrical lacing system positioned towards the outside was applied. This was noticeable during wear and will be discussed further in the Kick and Touches section. At the heel, the same internal heel cup used in the Phantom GX is applied again. A moderate amount of padding inside the heel provided a satisfactory feel, and there was no heel slippage. Personally, the heel lockdown and stability ranked among the better soccer shoes I've worn recently. The included insole was quite standard. It didn't feature special cushioning or anti-slip properties. However, it was firm enough to prevent it from folding or shifting inward during use. The outsole uses a new AG sole plate. The basic stud shape and configuration are similar to the one on the Phantom GX AG model, but one small circular stud has been added to the forefoot area. In terms of stiffness, the outsole felt about the same as the Phantom GX 2-age outsole. The stud length was average for AG models. The previous Phantom GX2 AG sole plate had some durability issues, but since I've only worn the Phantom 6 3 times in matches so far, it's too early to judge durability. I'll provide further feedback to our subscribers after more wear. We tested the Phantom 6 Elite AG at artificial turf pitches with both good and average turf conditions. Overall, the AG sole plate on the Phantom 6 Elite felt sufficient and well suited for well-maintained artificial grass. Traction was also solid, and even in damp conditions after rain, it didn't feel overly slippery or catch on the turf excessively. However, on artificial grass pitches that are poorly maintained and resemble carpet, these shoes may not be ideal. For such conditions, turf shoes are recommended instead. When kicking the ball, the wide strike zone provided a satisfying sensation of clean contact. Also, thanks to the thin knit tongue, I felt better ball feedback when striking powerfully. I was curious about the new grip knit, but when curling shots, it didn't produce a dramatically noticeable effect. While controlling the ball, the feel was very similar to the previous Phantom GX. The grip wasn't excessive, but just right, and the stickiness was somewhere between that of the GX1 and GX2. Recently, GripKnit has also been used in Mercurial models. Compared to the Mercurial Vapor 16 Elite, I felt the GripKnit on the Phantom 6 Elite provided slightly better grip. When passing, the thin upper gave a sense of the ball sticking to the foot rather than bouncing off. Personally, I found GripNet's impact most noticeable during touch and control. During dribbling, the soccer shoes felt noticeably light. Combined with the good touch from the GripNet, I was able to dribble quickly and precisely, a very satisfying experience. This review was conducted by a reviewer with a foot length of 10.5 inches and width of 3.9 inches. The reviewer typically wears US 9.5 in Nike Mercurial and Tiempo, and US 9 in Nike Phantom, Adidas, and Puma, and wore US 9 for this test. The length fit perfectly, and the width was average. We recommend choosing the same size as your previous Phantom GX2, but due to the slight change in last, we strongly advise trying them on before purchasing. We hope this review by allthatboots, based on first-hand experience and performance, helps you make a successful soccer shoe purchase decision.